So who knows what I just said? My name is Jamie, and this is Handy Lingo. Handy Lingo is a place for curious kids to come and learn sign language. I'm Jamie, and I'm your teacher. We don't just learn how to sign or use different signs. We learn how to tell stories using sign language. I can offer sign language lessons online for kids, their siblings, their families, their parents, anyone who's interested in learning. We use a storytelling curriculum that I have personally developed after 25 years in the field. And we don't just learn signs, we learn how to tell a story in sign language. So let me tell you a little bit about what it would be like to learn sign language with Handy Lingo. Some of the things that I do incorporate storytelling and stories that are familiar with you, and other things are stories that you develop, and we can customize those stories and learn those signs that are based in your life so that your kids are engaged, they're interacting, they're practicing with each other, and they're really learning a new language. So I build a foundation of the 5 WH questions. The first thing we learn at Handy Lingo is fingerspelling. Many people know how to fingerspell. Maybe you know how to fingerspell your own name. So let's try fingerspelling my name together. So everybody make this shape with your hand and draw a J in the air. That's a J. That's an A. Here's an M, I, E. In the beginning of the video, you saw me sign my name is Jamie. So during our lessons, we can work on the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and all the way through. And we can practice, and you can learn how to sign your name. We also will learn how to sign the names of your family members, your friends, and anyone else in your life so that you can start practicing and using the language outside of our lessons. After fingerspelling, I move on to a very common question that's learned in the beginning whenever anyone takes a sign language class, and that is a question most people ask when they see you for the first time, and that is, how are you? So let's sign that together. 2 thumbs up, put them together. How are you? And look, my face is looking like it's asking a question. So make sure you're signing how are you? With eyebrows up, like you're interested. Okay? Now, what are some of the responses to that? How are you? Well, I'm fine. Try it with me. I'm fine. Here's another one. I'm good. I'm tired. I'm sick. I'm excited. I don't know. What are some words that you would use? And we can use those in our signing. So if you have a few signs that you would like to learn that answer the question, how are you? We can talk about that. And I incorporate those into our lessons. The other thing I incorporate into my lessons and the foundation of my storytelling curriculum is the 5 WH questions. So everyone who I teach gets to download their very own cube. I have a resource on my website where you can download this and make it yourself in your own home. Since we can't be together and we're doing this online, you can download this. It's very easy to put together. And it has my 5 WH questions on there. So what are those 5 WH questions? All of these questions are the foundation of building a story. So we have who, sign it with me, what, where, when, and why. Those are the 5 questions that I use to get started telling stories. And as we go through those signs, we learn different signs that are relevant to all of those things. So let's sign them one more time. Who, what, when, where, and why. So some examples of what those signs would be and things that we would be learning in our sign language lessons together is who, my mom, my dad, my sister, right? What are you doing? I'm eating. I'm walking. I'm on a video call. I'm typing. How about where? I'm home. I'm at school. I'm at the store. So who, what, where. Now let's do when. Now, later, yesterday, a long time ago, in the future. All of those things are when. And then the last one, why? Maybe you think because I'm hungry, or I want to, or I feel like it, or any reason that you want. We can put that in, and we can learn how to sign anything that's relevant in your life. So we've got who, what, when, where, and why. And when we learn, I like to play a little game. So I take our cube that we make at home and I roll it. And here I landed on where. So we roll the dice and we build stories, and we can always incorporate new signs when we tell our stories. So if I got where, I would say, where? Let's start our story somewhere that you choose. So we can start our story at home. So where? Home. Let's roll it again. When? Today. Let's roll it again. What? So today at home, what was I doing? I was eating. And on from there. So it's really easy to work online for sign language. Now, it's always better to learn in person, but to make a foundation and learn the basics of sign language, video conferencing is a great way to do this. From home, you can incorporate other members of your family. All of our sessions are 30-minute sessions, unless you would like to do longer. And I welcome anyone that wants to hop on with us to learn. And we all play games and we chat and we talk. Now, another thing that I like to do is I like to use things around your house that are stories that are already written. So we tell our own stories, and then we can also practice with stories that you may already know. If you have ever heard the story Brown Bear, What Do You See? Maybe you remember it, by Bill Martin Jr. It is a fantastic, very easy to learn story, and I like to tell that story with my students. So, brown bear. Can you sign that with me? Brown bear. So the next line in the story that we'll sign together would be brown bear, brown bear. What do you see? Do you remember the first part of that book? What was the first animal they came across in that book? If you ever read that to your kids. I see a red bird looking at me. And we can have a lot of fun telling stories like that. So this is a download that's available on my website, handylingo.com, and it's free. And you can also find the actual book is listed on my resources page, and you're free to purchase it on Amazon if you'd like to use it for practice. But we don't really even need the book, but if you have it, it's a great resource. So we can go through and sign these signs together so that you can get an idea of what a lesson would be like when we learn a basic story with Handy Lingo. So like I said, brown bear, what do you see? I see a red bird looking at me. Then the next part of the story is what? We say red bird again, and then we're going to add on a new animal. Red bird, what do you see? I see a yellow duck looking at me. Yellow duck, what do you see? I see a blue horse looking at me. Blue horse, what do you see? I see a green frog looking at me. Green frog, green frog, what do you see? I see a purple cat looking at me. Purple cat, what do you see? I see a black sheep looking at me. Black sheep, what do you see? I see a white dog looking at me. White dog, what do you see? I see an orange fish looking at me. Orange fish, what do you see? Do you remember the last part of the book? I see a teacher looking at me. So I really enjoy teaching my students that book. Most people have it at home, and if you don't, no problem. No worries. You can download this sheet from my website, and you and I can use it as a resource during our lessons. This lets the kids have some confidence in what they're learning. It gives a rhythm, and I enjoy doing things that they can practice at home and that they can reenact with their families. They have a lot of fun teaching that to their siblings, maybe some grandparents, maybe to their parents, and it's a fun thing to practice. And then if you have other stories at home that you want to learn how to sign, bring those along to a lesson and we can look at those signs and learn how to sign books that are your family's favorites. Another thing that I really enjoy doing is signing songs. So I've gone ahead and downloaded the lyrics to You Are My Sunshine, which is another classic song. And the recording that I did is on my website. So if you go to handylingo.com and click on the resources page, down along the right-hand side of that page are several recordings on YouTube that I really enjoy. So just for fun, let's learn a few of the signs from You Are My Sunshine. So we'll start with the title, You Are My Sunshine. So your hand's going to start in this shape and it's going to circle around and as if the sun is shining on you. Just bring it down like that. So sunshine. So you are my sunshine. So some of the other signs that you'll need in that song is night. So you just go ahead. I will move my arm around just so you can see the shape. Night. The other night. Dear. As I lay sleeping. Now you'll notice I don't sign every single word in the song, and you don't have to. And signing a song in American Sign Language is not necessarily American Sign Language sentence structure. It's just a good way to familiarize yourself with signs and get yourself signing them in a rhythm and have your hands up in the air and practicing those songs. It helps with language development. But most of the time, signing those signs in a song is not actual ASL structure. This is just a way to play with signs and get kids familiar with them. Some of the other ones, I'll just teach you a few more just for fun. So when you watch the video on YouTube, you can enjoy it and pick out the signs that you've learned. Dream. Sign it with me. Just put one finger to your temple and then do, 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 as if it's a dream bubble appearing over your head. Dream. And then I do held you in my arms. Just all as one sign because it really is just one action. And then woke up. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken. So that's the sign for wrong or make a mistake. So when I woke up, I was mistaken. And then when I hung my head and cried is the next line of the song. And so I use this to signify my head. And I just simply show I hung my head and I cried. So you can use a lot of artistic license when you're signing songs, as long as you're staying true to the meaning of each sign. There's lots of different ways. And if you look these up on YouTube, you'll see people signing them in all different ways. I try to keep my songs very basic and have the signs be very clear because the point of it is to remember the signs that you're signing in the song so that you can use them later in your language development.
As I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held
sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. I'll always love you and make you happy, and nothing else could come between. But if you leave me to love another, you'll have shattered all my dreams. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Another thing that I love to sign about is people, because it's fun. And it's fun to tell stories about the people in your life. So we learn a lot of words about people. I'm going to show you some of them now. Some of them you may already know. Some of them I've already used in this video. So let's start with friend. Okay, so now that we know the sign for friend, you also know the sign for my. My, remember when we signed my name? So my friend. Okay, now you can say my name is Jamie. My friend's name is what? Bobby. So my friend's named Bobby. Now, we used a few other signs already in this video. So here's the next part of our story. My friend named Bobby. He's fine, right? So how are you today? I'm fine. Fine or fine. Some people do it that way. So here's what we do is we learn signs and we learn them in a fun way so that we can build. We tell these stories so that our kids will remember, and we use words that are relevant to your lifestyle and to your life. So some other words that I might incorporate into a lesson as far as people goes is teacher. And that's a sign that we just used in brown bear, brown bear. So brown bear, what do you see? I see a teacher looking at me. Remember the last line of the book? So it all comes together so that we can use the signs that we've learned along the way and use them in different ways to build stories, which is why my cube comes in handy, because we roll the cube and we tell new stories, and every time we have a lesson, there's new signs to incorporate into our stories. So as far as the sign for teacher goes, I also like to describe what the sign means and where it might have come from in the history of deaf culture and in the history of the language. So I can dive as deep into that as you would like if you're curious or if your kids are curious, or I can just stick to the basic reasons why these signs have become the signs that they are. Teach is a great example of that. So teacher, I think of it as taking the information from a teacher's head, taking it out as if they're going to give it to their students. And then this is the sign for agent, which you can add to many nouns to create a person. So teach person is teacher. On the flip side of that, you can say student. So let's break down that one. So let's say this is the book that you're learning from. You're taking that information and you're putting it in your head. Adding the sign for agent turns learn into student. So we have student and teacher. Okay? Another thing that we can do is add that to anything. So if you know the sign for mail or letter, as if you're taking a stamp and putting it on a letter, how do you think you turn that into mailman or mail carrier or mailwoman? Mail person. These are the people in our lives. And we start to learn how to describe the world around us. And that is what storytelling sign language is all about. So let's have a little more fun with some of the people that I have. Doctor. Many of us have a doctor in our lives. A coach. You sign a C on your shoulder, coach. And doctor was like taking your pulse, right? And if you want to sign nurse, make an N. So that's a finger spelled N. Put that right there as if a nurse is taking your pulse. It helps to learn the foundation of why the signs became what they are because it helps you remember. So we learn many, many things like that. And we can build on those signs that we learn. And we can, as I said, customize each and every lesson so that what you're learning is relevant to your life. So let's put some of it together. So if you were going to tell a story using some of the signs that we've already learned, and even in this little amount of time that we've spent together, you've already learned several signs. So if you were going to make a sentence and use proper ASL structure, because like I said, when we're signing songs and we're signing books and things like that, usually that is only to familiarize ourselves with the signs themselves so that later we can turn that into ASL structure, because American Sign Language does not just sign word for word like English. It has a true language structure that is something that we can learn about later. Similar to when kids learn language, they learn their words first, and later we teach them the structure and how the language itself actually works. So let's take, for example, we learned my, we learned friend, and I'll teach you a new fun sign. And these are describing words. I love using describing words because the kids always love these. So let's do the sign for silly. So go ahead and make a Y shape, a finger spelled Y. Put your thumb near your nose and just silly. I like to think of it as tickling your nose, like making you laugh. So my friend, silly she. So that would be an actual American Sign Language sentence to say, my friend right there is silly, right? We could add in a name for our friend and make a more expanded ASL sentence. My friend Anne, silly she. Now, we've done an entire sentence in ASL in the short amount of time that I've been with you today. So the next one that I would say, we could say, my doctor, nice she. So let's sign the sign for nice. You just take one hand and slide it over the other. My doctor, nice she. My doctor named Dr. Bob, nice he. So me pointing over here at a person that would hypothetically be standing right there can be used as he or she, just as it could be turned towards you and used as me. And you saw before I used the sign for my, and this is the sign for I. Okay, so the way that we remember all of these signs, because this is a lot of information to remember, it's an entire language worth of signs, is that we tell these stories and we use these signs over and over and over. I go back through and I take the signs that we review and we reincorporate them into our language learning and games and fun things. Some of you may have some games at home that you can use for sign language, and you can use different songs that you know and children's books, and there's plenty of things around the house, and we can brainstorm those things together to expand on your language learning. I just wanted to take a quick minute and tell you a little bit about me so that you know a little bit about your instructor. I started becoming interested in sign language as a little girl. I went to a softball game with my little brother who was on a team, and I noticed there was a little boy there who was using sign language with his mother. I came to find out that he was deaf, and he and his mother were using sign language at the softball game so that she could better explain to him what was going on. This was early accessibility for this child to learn how he was going to know what was going on around him. And as a little girl, I was fascinated. So, of course, I ran to the library because back in the 80s, you didn't have the internet. So I ran to the library and took out every book I could possibly find about sign language. I taught myself fingerspelling. I taught myself basic signs. I learned the Pledge of Allegiance, anything I could learn. And this passion and this interest stayed with me my whole life. And when I got to college, I made it my major. When I graduated, I worked as a nationally certified American Sign Language interpreter for over 20 years. And as an interpreter, I've worked in so many cool places, from business offices and meetings to emergency rooms to I worked with Disney China, and we did a video about teaching sign language to children. That was a really fun job to consult on. I've interpreted for well-known people in the deaf community. I've had a chance to be anywhere from on stage to behind the scenes, and every minute of it was really fun for me. And then about 5 or 6 years ago, I realized that I was not able to hear as well as I had always been able to hear. And so I was having trouble understanding a lot of my clients. And so I took a look at myself, and found out that I had actually lost a significant amount of my own hearing, enough that interpreting became a bit of a challenge for me. So I went ahead and retired my interpreting career and transitioned. And now I enjoy sharing sign language with kids. And I have done many, many in-person classes, workshops, presentations for kids, teachers, anyone who needs a customized language learning situation. Always happy to do that. Also available online, on video conferencing, and I'm always flexible and open to customizing sessions for different people. I love sharing information about language, and I love sharing sign language with people, and it's fun to teach even nursery school kids up to adults. I've taught groups of senior citizens. I've taught babies in preschool. It's all fun for me, and I can customize my message to fit anyone because accessibility is an issue for everyone. So that's a little bit about me and how I came to be where I'm at. I live in the Chicago area, and I am in the Central Time Zone. So that's pretty much the only thing we would need to know to schedule a time. And I'm very happy to set up times to teach your population or your audience, your family members, your kids, whoever it is that wants to learn. If you just want to hop over to my website, there's tons of good information on there. There's more information about the storytelling curriculum. You can download your own storytelling cube and play with that. And there's some free stuff on there. There is the words and signs for brown bear, brown bear. I'm also on Instagram, where I feature my own daughter signing many, many signs on Instagram with @HandyLingos, where you can find me there. Several signs and ways that you can expand on your learning. And lots of that stuff is on the website, lots of it isn't. So happy to answer questions via email. Just hop on the contact page, shoot me an email. And we can get your questions answered and hopefully set up a time where we can start learning sign language. So thank you so much for listening to my presentation today. I hope you enjoyed it. There's another sign for you to learn, enjoy. Again, my company is called Handy Lingo, and you can find me at handylingo.com. So there's how I spell it. And if you want to sign it, I just have been signing Handy Lingo. That's the sign for language. This is a little play on words because this is how deaf people show their applause and language. So Handy Lingo. Find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram, find me at handylingo.com. I would be thrilled to chat with you. Very happy to hop on a video call and answer any questions you have and teach you a few signs. And thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to talking to you. Thank you, and bye.